Hello. If you haven't met me before, my name is Joanna. I am a small business leadership coach. And today I wanted to talk to you about how do we know if we're doing this leadership thing well? And if we're not, or we're not sure, what do we do about it? So let me start by asking you a couple of questions. Do you find yourself on a routine basis wondering if you're doing this leadership thing right? Maybe. Do you keep winging it and hoping that you're doing it okay and hoping for the best? Have you got one of those nagging feelings in your stomach that maybe there's a better way that this could be done, but you're really not sure what it is and where to even start looking for what that could look like? Maybe you're thinking, there must be an easier or better way of doing this, but I wouldn't know where to start looking for it. Do you start looking for training solutions, but kind of get overwhelmed or kind of drowned by the sheer volume of them? And how do you know which one's any good or not? Now, if you answered yes to any of those questions, I want to kind of reassure you, you are among the remaining 5.99 million of us small business owners out there in the UK who are wrestling with this kind of stuff on a really routine basis. And the thing is, there's an inequity here, right? So if you're in a large corporate organization, as a leader, you've probably been on a leadership development program. And in fact, you've probably been on that leadership development program from quite a young kind of situation as a leader. Maybe you've been on one of those, future leaders or tomorrow's talent sorts of program. But as small business owners, we're just kind of expected to kind of figure it out for ourselves and fend for ourselves, both in terms of, how do you do this leadership thing? And if you want some help with it, where do you look? And that feels like an inequity to me. And here's the thing, we're responsible for providing something like 3/5 of the UK's employment and almost half of the turnover of the private sector in the UK. So that's quite a lot of weight on these relatively narrow shoulders, right? And there's another barrier to us. So I don't know if you've noticed this, but the market is literally flooded with leadership and development kind of opportunities, learning and development interventions. So for me, it's like picking a herring from a mega shoal. How on earth do you know which one's going to be right for you, for your business, for the context which you're operating in, and which takes into account the learning that you may already have, for example? The good news is there are things we can do that can help us, and life doesn't have to feel quite as at sea as it may do. Now, the first thing we can do, and I would say this, wouldn't I, is see if we can find ourselves a coach, not necessarily to take us on that learning and development journey, but perhaps to help us see the blind spots or the learning areas that we might have in our delivery. And that way, when we go to market, we're going really specifically with, I need help in this area. And that kind of helps us pick out that single herring from that mega shoal. Maybe join one of the government programs. So I'm one of the delivery team on behalf of Portsmouth University on the Help to Grow management program. It's a nationwide program. It's really heavily subsidized. And from what I've seen of it, it looks really well constructed, great and really helpful information in there. And it's getting great reviews from the current participants. So that may be an option. Failing that, maybe use our networks. If there are people that we trust and they've already kind of found something that works for them, why wouldn't that work for us too? After all, nothing influences more than a recommendation from a trusted friend. So if you're feeling all at sea with how you lead your business or your team, I want to kind of make you feel reassured that you are not alone and you can come and join the 5.99 million of the rest of us. There are options for how we address this inequity of access to development opportunities as small business owners. So maybe find a coach, maybe find yourself a government program, maybe get a recommendation or a referral. I think either way, we'll be glad that we did, because that feeling of winging it or waiting for the failure to kick in is it's not particularly comfortable, is it? Now, if you've liked anything that you've heard me say in this podcast, I'd love you to come and get in touch. Let's have a chin wag. The first hour is always complimentary. So, you never know what you might get from that. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.